Today, we've got a story that's going to hit you right in the feels. It's about a Marine, a dad, who drove 8 hours to see his son graduate high school. But when two security guards tried to move him from his seat, they had no idea what was coming. 6 Navy SEALs stood up from the crowd, and without saying a single word, they stopped the whole room cold. This is a story about loyalty, respect, and what it means to stand your ground. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Picture this: Elmridge High School, a small town in Texas. It's one of those places where the high school is the heart of the community. Red brick walls, a little worn but proud, flags waving out front, and a parking lot buzzing with families. Parents in their best shirts, kids holding homemade signs, even a grandma with a walker, all there for the big day. Graduation. The gym's already packed, with metal chairs lined up, bleachers overflowing, and the faint smell of popcorn and floor wax in the air. It's loud, it's chaotic, it's alive. Now into this scene pulls Solomon Dryden, a Marine. He's in his deep blue uniform, boots polished so bright you could see your reflection in them. Not because he's trying to flex, but because that's just who he is: precise, disciplined, intentional. He parks his Dodge Charger near the chain-link fence, steps out, and smooths out his jacket. Solomon's tall, upright, with a calmness that feels like it's seen too much to be shaken. He drove 8 hours from Temple to be here for his son Tyran, who's graduating today. He could have flown, but the Charger was his late wife's favorite, and even 2 years after her passing, driving it feels like keeping her close. Solomon grabs a small, worn photo from the glove compartment, his wife holding baby Tyran, a tiny tear in the corner of the picture. He slips it into his jacket, right over his heart, and murmurs, "I promised you I wouldn't miss it." Every step toward the gym feels heavy, not with nerves, but with something deeper: pride, ache, love, all mixed together. Inside, the gym's a circus. People are squeezing into seats, programs are rustling, someone's kid is laughing too loud, and a guy just spilled his coffee, muttering under his breath. Solomon doesn't notice the noise. He shows his ticket to a volunteer with a clipboard who points him to the 3rd row, left side, family seating. "Appreciate it," Solomon says, his voice low and steady. As he walks to his seat, a few heads turn. Some folks do a double take at his uniform, others whisper. One woman smiles, then leans over to say something to the guy next to her. Solomon's used to it. Being black, tall, and in uniform comes with looks, some curious, some not so kind. He doesn't react. He's been here before. He finds his seat, a wobbly plastic chair, and settles in. The stage is set with banners, Class of 2024, in big silver letters. School board members are fussing with notes at the podium. Solomon's eyes drift to the students lined up across the gym. There's Tyran, tall and lanky, with his mom's eyes. 18 years, gone just like that. Solomon remembers holding him the night he was born, still in uniform, dirt under his nails, from a rushed flight from Okinawa. Now, here they are. The music kicks in, pomp and circumstance, and the crowd stands. Solomon rises, shoulders squared, arms at his sides. The national anthem plays, and while everyone places hands over hearts, Solomon doesn't move. His whole presence is a salute. He thinks of his wife, how she'd be crying through this whole thing, fixing Tyran's tie a dozen times before letting him out the door. As the anthem fades, the crowd settles, but Solomon's world narrows to the stage, the students, and that photo against his chest. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he sees them. 2 security guards walking down the aisle, straight for him. They're from Harlan Security Services, wearing black polos tucked into cargo pants, earpieces in, radios on their belts, one short, wide-shouldered, shaved head looking serious. The other's taller, lanky chewing gum like he's bored. Solomon clocks them instantly but doesn't flinch. His training taught him stillness is power. The shorter guard leans down. "Excuse me, sir," he says, voice low. "We're going to need you to come with us." Solomon turns his head slowly. "Is there a problem?" The tall one steps in. "Yeah, this section's for families of graduating seniors." Solomon blinks, pulls out his ticket, same one he showed at the door. "This is my seat, 3rd row, left side. Family seating confirmed." The short guard doesn't even glance at the ticket. "We got told it's full." "It was full when I sat down," Solomon says, calm but firm. "You want to tell me who gave that order?" The tall one shifts, looking uneasy. "Look, it's not a big deal. There's extra seats in the back. Let's not make this anything it doesn't have to be." Solomon's eyes narrow, not with anger, but with that quiet calculation he's mastered. "I drove 8 hours to watch my son walk that stage. I'll be sitting right here." A few heads turn. A woman 2 rows over nudges her husband. Someone in the bleachers tilts their phone, maybe recording. The short guard straightens, mutters something into his radio, eyes locked on Solomon. "Sir, I'm going to ask one more time." "You can ask all day," Solomon says, voice lower now, like steel. "I'm not moving." The tall one sucks his teeth. "Maybe you'd be more comfortable in the back. That's all we're saying." And there it is. Solomon hears it, that undercurrent, the thing that's followed him through boardrooms, waiting rooms, front porches, even the base cafeteria. It's not about logistics. It's about something older, something uglier. He doesn't respond. The air shifts, heavy, like the room knows a line's been crossed. The woman next to Solomon, older, pale-skinned, leans over and whispers, "Don't you let them move you." He nods once, acknowledging her, but stays silent. He's not here for a scene. He's here for Tyran. The guards don't back off. The tall one, Mally, tries again. "Look, you got a problem. Take it up with the school office. We got our orders." "You have a name, son?" Solomon asks, voice steady. Mally blinks. "It's Officer Mally." "Not officer," Solomon corrects. "You're private security." The short one, Garvin, steps in. "All right, that's enough. If you don't stand up..." He doesn't finish. The gym door clicks open and 6 men walk in. No uniforms, no badges, just firm postures, squared shoulders, eyes that say they've seen worse than this. They don't come in together. They spread out, taking seats like they're not connected, but anyone paying attention can tell they move the same, watch the room the same. Solomon doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. He knows exactly who they are. The guards don't, not yet, but they're about to find out. The tension's thick now. People nearby are watching, pretending not to. Garvin mutters into his radio again, hand twitching near it. Solomon stays seated, eyes on the stage, like the conversation's over. Because for him, it is. We're still in the gym at Elmridge High, Texas. The graduation's rolling on, names being called, families clapping, but the real story's happening in the 3rd row, left side. Solomon's still seated, calm as ever, his deep blue Marine uniform crisp, hands resting on his thighs. The 2 guards, Garvin and Mally, are hovering like they're trying to figure out their next move. Garvin's the short one, all serious, hand twitching near his radio. Mally's taller, chewing gum, looking less sure by the second. They thought this was going to be a quick move-along situation, but Solomon's not budging, and now these 6 guys are in the room, shifting the vibe completely. The crowd's starting to notice. A few rows back, people are whispering, sneaking glances. Someone's phone is definitely recording now. The air feels tight, like everyone's holding their breath, waiting to see what happens next. Solomon's not looking at the guards anymore. His eyes are locked on the stage where his son, Tyran, is lined up with the other graduates. But he knows those 6 men are there. He doesn't need to turn around to feel their presence. These aren't just random dudes. They're SEALs, men he led through hell and back, and they're here because of a bond forged in blood and trust. Garvin leans in again, voice louder this time, trying to take control. "Sir, this is your last warning." Solomon doesn't even flinch. "To do what exactly?" he asks, his tone so steady, it's almost chilling. Garvin steps closer, his belt brushing Solomon's knee. "To stop making a scene. We don't want any trouble. Just move to the back." Solomon turns his head, looks Garvin dead in the eye. "You're the only one causing trouble." The words land like a punch, quiet but heavy. Garvin's nostrils flare, and then he says it, the thing he shouldn't have. "You think wearing that uniform makes you better than everybody else? This is a high school, man, not your base." The gym goes quiet, not dead silent, but close. The rows around them freeze. A little girl stops squirming in her seat. A dad with a camera pauses mid-zoom. Even Mally takes a half step back, like he knows Garvin just crossed a line. Solomon doesn't blink. He takes a slow breath, not to calm himself, but to stay grounded. "You need to walk away," he says, voice low, final. Garvin doesn't. His hand drops to his belt, not on a weapon, but close enough to feel like a threat. And that's when it happens. Creed Marston, one of the SEALs, stands up. He's in the center aisle, tall salt and pepper beard, wearing a fitted black coat over a gray shirt. He doesn't yell, doesn't posture, just steps forward, slow and deliberate. His voice cuts through the tension like a knife. "If you touch him, you'll answer to me." Garvin spins around, caught off guard. "Who the hell are you?" Creed takes another step. "The man who's telling you this ends right now." The gym's not pretending to watch the stage anymore. Eyes are locked on this showdown. A school board member up front notices and whispers to the principal. An assistant principal starts moving toward the back, probably radioing for backup. The staff's realizing this isn't just a little mix-up. Then it spreads. Another SEAL stands up in the far bleachers, then another on the right side. No words, no signals, just a shared instinct kicking in. By now, all 6 are on their feet, spread across the gym. They're not in formation, but they don't need to be. Their presence is enough, calm, steady, like a storm about to break. Garvin looks around, and you can see it in his face. He's starting to get it. This isn't some angry parent. These guys are different. Creed's voice drops lower, sharp. "You've got 2 choices. Walk away now, or watch this go somewhere you don't want it to go." Mally finally speaks, his voice cracking a bit. "Let's just back off, man." But Garvin's ego's in too deep. He hesitates, hand still near his belt. Solomon speaks, not to Garvin, but to Creed. "Don't waste your breath. He already made his decision." Creed doesn't smile, just gives Garvin one last warning. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Finally, Garvin steps back, not far, but enough. His face is burning, but he's outnumbered, outclassed. The principal hustles over, whispering something to the guards, her tone firm. Whatever she says works, because Garvin and Mally start walking toward the back exit, heads down, not looking at anyone. The tension doesn't break, not yet. The SEALs stay standing, watching, silent. Solomon exhales, slow and steady, eyes back on the stage. Garvin spins around, caught off guard. "Who the hell are you?" Creed takes another step. "The man who's telling you this ends right now." The gym's not pretending to watch the stage anymore. Eyes are locked on this showdown. A school board member up front notices and whispers to the principal. An assistant principal starts moving toward the back, probably radioing for backup. The staff's realizing this isn't just a little mix-up. Then it spreads. Another SEAL stands up in the far bleachers. Then another on the right side. No words, no signals, just a shared instinct kicking in. By now, all 6 are on their feet, spread across the gym. They're not in formation, but they don't need to be. Their presence is enough, calm, steady, like a storm about to break. Garvin looks around, and you can see it in his face. He's starting to get it. This isn't some angry parent. These guys are different. Creed's voice drops lower, sharp. You've got 2 choices. Walk away now, or watch this go somewhere you don't want it to go. Mally finally speaks, his voice cracking a bit. Let's just back off, man. But Garvin's ego's in too deep. He hesitates, hand still near his belt. Solomon speaks, not to Garvin, but to Creed. Don't waste your breath. He already made his decision. Creed doesn't smile, just gives Garvin one last warning. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Finally, Garvin steps back, not far, but enough. His face is burning, but he's outnumbered, outclassed. The principal hustles over, whispering something to the guards, her tone firm. Whatever she says works, because Garvin and Mally start walking toward the back exit, heads down, not looking at anyone. The tension doesn't break, not yet. The SEALs stay standing, watching, silent. Solomon exhales, slow and steady, eyes back on the stage. But let's rewind for a second, because to understand why these 6 men showed up, you need to know what Solomon means to them. 15 years ago, Kandahar, Afghanistan. The sun's dropping like a hammer, turning the sand red and the air heavy. Solomon, a gunnery sergeant then, had just briefed his unit when an IED rips through their convoy. The lead Humvee flips, metal and dirt flying everywhere. Gunfire follows, not random, coordinated. Solomon ducks behind a doorframe, scanning the chaos. Smoke's thick, but he spots 6 men pinned behind a burning wreck. One's crawling, dragging another by the vest. That's Creed Marston, 3 months in country, bullet in his thigh. Solomon doesn't hesitate. He bolts through open ground, dodging bullets, sliding into cover next to Creed. You're bleeding, he says. Creed coughs. You noticed. Solomon grabs another guy, Enrique Soto, and starts pulling. Creed pushes from behind, wincing. Where's Divas? Solomon yells. Creed points. Left side. Under the hood. Divas, a young SEAL, is pinned under an engine block, leg trapped, yelling for help. Solomon sprints again, slides to Divas, grips the mangled hood with both hands. It won't budge. Gunny, don't, Divas shouts. I'm good. Solomon braces, lifts, shoulders straining, ribs screaming. The metal groans, rises just enough. Divas yanks free, and they crawl to the ridgeline, gunfire cracking overhead. Creed limps up with Soto. 2 more, Lim and Horton, join, rifles ready. When the shooting stops, there's no victory speech, just silence and breathing. All 6 are alive because of Solomon. He stays on rear watch till the medevac arrives, doesn't speak for hours after. That day burned a bond into those men. If Solomon ever needed them, they'd show up, no questions, no hesitation. Back in the gym, Creed's seated again, eyes on Solomon, fists clenched. He's not thinking about war, he's thinking about promises. The man who dragged him out of a war zone is being disrespected at his kid's graduation. Another SEAL, Javier Meeks, slips in, takes a seat 4 rows back. Zachary Wells finds a spot in the bleachers. They don't talk, don't need to. Solomon glances back, just once, meets Meeks's eyes. That's enough. The guards don't get what those looks mean, but they're about to. The ceremony's still going, names called, claps echoing. But the energy's shifted. Everyone's watching Solomon now, pretending not to. Garvin and Mally are gone, But the seals are still standing, a quiet reminder that some lines you don't cross. Tyran, in the student lineup, sees it all. His heart's racing, not with fear but with something else. Pride, fire, respect. We're back in the gym at Elmridge High, Texas. The graduation's pushing forward. Names are being called. Families are clapping. But the energy's different now. It's not just about caps and gowns anymore. Everyone's eyes keep drifting to the third row, left side, where Solomon sits, still as a statue in his Marine uniform. The guards, Garvin and Malley, are gone, sent packing by the principal after the SEALs made it clear this wasn't their fight to win. But the 6 SEALs are still standing, spread across the gym, silent and steady, like they're guarding something bigger than a seat. Solomon's focus is locked on the stage. His son, Tyran, is in the lineup of graduates, standing between a girl with bright braids and a kid whose gown keeps slipping. The other students are fidgeting, whispering jokes, trying to soak in the moment, but Tyran's not there mentally. His eyes are on his dad. From the second the anthem ended, he saw those guards walking toward Solomon. At first he thought it was nothing. Maybe they were helping with seats. But then he saw how close they got, how his dad stayed so still, so composed, like he was carved from stone. Tyran's seen that look before, like when he was 12 and came home upset after someone at school said something ugly. His dad didn't yell then either, just sat with that same steel in his eyes. Tyran's heart is pounding, not from nerves but from something fiercer, pride mixed with fire. He can't hear what was said, but he saw the guards hovering, saw his dad hold his ground, and then he saw that first guy stand up. That tall dude in the black coat, Creed Marston, stepping into the aisle like he was born for this. Then another man stood, and another, until 6 were on their feet. Tyran's no kid anymore. He's 18, and he's heard enough about his dad's service to piece things together. Not the bloody details, those stayed locked away, but the small stuff. A Christmas card from a buddy every year, a scar with a story his dad never told, a box in the garage labeled Kandahar that nobody touches. He never met these men, never knew their names, but now they're here, standing for his dad like they've been waiting for this moment. The line moves forward. A name's called, the crowd claps. But it's half-hearted now, like everyone's still processing what just went down. Tyran's trying to focus, wiping his sweaty palms on his gown, but his mind's racing. He's torn between wanting to storm off the stage to back his dad up and knowing he needs to stay put, to walk that stage like his dad would expect. An assistant principal taps his shoulder, says something about keeping the line moving. Tyran nods, barely hearing her. The girl next to him whispers, "That your dad?" He doesn't answer, just keeps his eyes forward, but inside he's screaming, "Yeah, that's my dad, and you just saw who he is." Across the gym, Solomon leans forward slightly, his eyes never leaving Tyran. He's not clapping for every kid, not out of disrespect, but because his world's narrowed to his son, that tall kid in the black robe with red and white honor cords, looking so much like his mom when he smiles. Solomon's hands rest on his lap, but inside, he's holding that photo in his jacket, the one of his wife cradling baby Tyran. It's been with him through war, through loss, through today. The SEALs are still standing, not posturing, just present. Creed's in the aisle, arms crossed, watching Solomon like he's ready to move again if needed. Javier Meeks is 4 rows back, Zachary Wells in the bleachers, the others spread out. They don't need to talk. Their silence says it all. The announcer calls another name, then another. Tyran's 3 students away from the stage. He takes a deep breath, trying to slow his pulse. The girl in front of him turns, grins nervously. "You ready?" she asks. Tyran gives a small smile. "More than you know." He steps forward, gown swishing, diploma folder tucked under his arm. On the other side, Solomon's eyes are glued to him like nothing else in the gym exists. Then it's time. The announcer pauses, clears her throat, and says, "Tyran Dryden." The name hits the air, and for half a second, there's silence. Then the room erupts. Clapping, whistling, cheering. It's louder than for anyone else, but it's not just the volume. It's the rhythm, deliberate, unified. The 6 SEALs, still standing, raise their hands and clap in perfect sync, each one hitting with force, like a salute without the form. It's not a show. It's respect for Tyran, for Solomon, for what this moment means. Tyran walks across the stage, chin high, step steady. His heart's hammering, but it's not nerves, it's pride, the kind that burns deep. He's not just proud of himself, but of his dad, of carrying that last name. He takes his diploma, shakes the principal's hand, and turns to face the crowd. His eyes scan for one person, find Solomon in the 3rd row. Solomon doesn't wave, doesn't stand, just meets Tyran's gaze with the smallest, most meaningful smile. Tyran nods once, steps off the stage, and the applause keeps going. Parents who stayed quiet all day are clapping hard now, some standing, a few wiping tears, not sure why, but feeling it. Solomon leans back in his chair, letting the moment wash over him. He's not the type to cry in public, but inside, something shifts. Not pain, not grief, just release, like a knot loosening. The ceremony moves on, but the gym's different now. Every kid who walks the stage does it in the echo of Tyran's moment, not because it was loud, but because it was real. The SEALs finally sit, but their presence lingers, a quiet reminder of what just happened. Up in the bleachers, people are still buzzing. A mom leans over to her friend, whispering, "Did you see that?" A kid points at Solomon, asking his dad who he is. The energy's alive, stirred by a moment of injustice, held steady by honor. Tyran's back in the student lineup, diploma in hand, but his eyes keep flicking to his dad, like he's seeing him for the first time. He's always known Solomon was a Marine, seen the medals, the folded flag on the bookshelf, but today those stories walked into the room. Today they stood. The ceremony's winding down now, maybe 20 minutes left. Names keep coming, claps keep going, but it's all background noise. Solomon's still in his seat, soaking it in. The music, the laughter, the flash of gowns sweeping by. He's waiting for Tyran to finish, to meet him outside, but he's also holding on to this moment, the weight of it. Creed's still nearby, watching, ready. The other SEALs are spread out, but their eyes are on Solomon, always. Back in the gym at Elmridge High, Texas, the graduation's hitting its final stretch. The last few names are being called, and the crowd's buzzing with that end-of-ceremony energy. Caps flying, kids screaming, parents snapping photos. The air's thick with balloons, laughter, and the chaos of a milestone moment. Solomon's still in his 3rd row seat, Marine uniform crisp, hands resting in his lap. He's not moving, not rushing, just soaking it all in. The music, the silver class of 2024 banners, the swirl of red and black gowns as students file out. His eyes follow Tyran, who's now with his classmates, disappearing into the hallway for the big cap toss photo op. Tyran's out there, gown half unzipped, diploma folder in one hand, phone in the other. A teacher gives him a high five, another pulls him into a side hug, but he's only half in the moment. He turns back, just once, catching his dad's eye through the crowd. It's a quick glance, but it carries everything. "Did you see me?" And Solomon's steady look answers, "Every second." The connection's unspoken, but it's heavy, like they both know today's more than a diploma. It's a passing of something deeper. The gym's starting to empty now. Families shuffle out, carrying flowers, balloons, and signs. Someone's kid is running around with a sparkler, and a dad's yelling about not losing the car keys. Solomon stands slowly, stretching his legs, feeling the ache of sitting in that wobbly plastic chair too long. Creed Marston, one of the SEALs, walks over as the crowd thins. He doesn't say much at first, just stands next to Solomon, looking toward the exit. "You okay?" Creed finally asks, voice low. Solomon nods. "I've been through worse." Creed gives a small smile. "Yeah, but it still shouldn't have happened." "No," Solomon says, his tone steady but carrying weight. "It shouldn't have." Another SEAL, Javier Meeks, joins them. "We tried to stay low-key," he says, glancing at Solomon. "But once that guy put his hand near his belt—" Solomon raises a hand, gentle but firm. "You all did what needed to be done. That was enough." The three stand there for a moment, letting the gym's noise fade. The other SEALs, Zachary Wells, Enrique Soto, Lim, Horton, are nearby, keeping an eye out, not crowding, but present. No one's looking for attention, just holding space, like they've done 100 times before in worse places than a high school gym. "I want to see my boy," Solomon says, breaking the silence. He heads toward the double doors, the SEALs falling back naturally, giving him room, but staying close. Outside, the Texas sun's beating down on the concrete lot, casting long shadows from the bleachers. Students are scattered in clusters, posing for selfies, tossing caps again, shouting to their families. Tyran's by the flagpole, still in his gown, talking to a couple of friends but scanning the crowd. When he spots his dad, he stops mid-sentence, says something quick to his buddies, and starts walking. They meet halfway, the noise of the lot fading into the background. Tyran speaks first, voice a little tight. "You okay?" Solomon nods. "You?" "Yeah," Tyran says, then looks down for a second, his diploma folder creasing under his grip. "They tried to move you, I know. I was ready to walk off that stage, Dad. I swear, I was 2 seconds from saying something." Solomon puts a hand on his son's shoulder, steady, grounding. "And that's why you didn't." Tyran looks up, confused. "What do you mean?" "Because you knew I could handle it," Solomon says. "And because you handled your moment like a man. You didn't let anybody take it from you." Tyran holds his breath, letting that sink in. He glances past his dad, where the 6 SEALs are now gathered near the gym exit, talking quietly, eyes still scanning the lot. "Who were those guys?" he asks. Solomon follows his gaze. "They're men I bled with, men who know what loyalty means, men who don't forget." Tyran nods slowly, the weight of it hitting him. That was powerful. "It was necessary," Solomon says. "Sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Sometimes standing up without speaking says more than 1,000 words." They stand there, father and son, shoulder to shoulder, not saying anything for a moment. The lot's still alive. Kids laughing, cameras clicking, a mom yelling for her daughter to stop running. But for them, it's just this bubble, this connection. Tyran breaks the silence with a small grin. "You gonna tell me those war stories now?" Solomon chuckles, a rare sound. "Some of them. You're old enough for the real parts now." Across the lot, Creed raises a hand, not a wave, just a gesture, respect in motion. Tyran returns it without thinking, a reflex of recognition. The sun's climbing higher, but for Solomon and Tyran, time feels different, slower, like they're holding on to something that won't come again. They start walking toward the Dodge Charger, parked near the chain-link fence. The lot's quieter now, most families heading out, trunks loaded with flowers and graduation swag. Solomon unlocks the car and Tyran pauses at the passenger door, running his fingers along a scratch on the handle. "Mom would have been screaming the loudest today," he says softly. Solomon manages a grin. "She would have made you retake every photo till your smile was just right." They climb in, doors shutting with a soft thud. The cars warm from the sun, like a cocoon sealing them off from the world. Tyran turns to his dad, voice quieter now. "I gotta ask, why didn't you say anything to those guards? You just sat there." Solomon taps the steering wheel once, then looks at him. "Because I don't have to stand up for who I am, and I don't need to raise my voice to be heard." Tyran nods, chewing on that. "You know how many times I've had to choose between letting something slide or blowing it up?" Solomon's eyes soften. Life will hand you 100 chances to react with anger. Sometimes anger's justified, but most times silence cuts deeper. Dignity sticks longer. That's what people remember. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out the worn photo, his wife holding baby Tyran. "I carried this through Kandahar, through losing your mom, through today. Not because it gives me strength, but because it reminds me what's worth protecting." Tyran's voice drops. "You always knew who had your back." Solomon smiles. "I didn't need to know. I just had faith. Real men don't vanish when things get uncomfortable. They show up, and they stand." Tyran leans back, letting that settle. "I want to be like that. Like you." "You already are," Solomon says. "You walked that stage with pride. You didn't let anger steal your moment. You stayed grounded, even when everything was trying to throw you off." We're in the parking lot of Elmridge High, Texas, inside Solomon's Dodge Charger. The sun softened into that early evening glow, painting the concrete lot in warm hues. Most families have cleared out, leaving just a few stragglers folding chairs or loading trunks with graduation gifts. The cars warm like a quiet sanctuary, sealing Solomon and Tyran off from the world. Tyran still in his gown, half unzipped, diploma folder on his lap, staring out the window as his dad's words sink in about silence, dignity, and what real strength looks like. The engine's off, and the only sound is the faint hum of the world outside, muffled by the closed doors. Tyran shifts in his seat, turning to face his dad. "How do you do it?" he asks, voice low, almost like he's afraid of the answer. "How do you stay so calm when people come at you like that, like those guards today?" Solomon leans back, his hands resting on the steering wheel, not gripping, just there. "It's not about being calm, son," he says. "It's about knowing what's worth your energy. Those guards? They wanted a reaction. They wanted me to stand up, yell, give them a reason to escalate. I didn't give it to them, not because I'm above it, but because I was there for you. That's what mattered." Tyran nods, but his jaw's tight, like he's wrestling with something. "It made me so mad seeing them talk to you like that. In front of everybody. I wanted to do something, say something." "I know," Solomon says, his voice steady but warm. "And that fire in you? It's good. It means you see what's right and wrong. But part of being a man is knowing when to let that fire burn quiet. You don't always have to fight to win." Tyran looks down at his diploma, running his thumb along the edge. "You make it sound simple, but it's not. What they did, it wasn't just about a seat, was it?" Solomon's eyes soften, but there's steel behind them. "No, it wasn't. It never is. You'll learn that, Tyran. Sometimes people challenge you not because of what you're doing, but because of who you are, because of what you represent. That's not new to me, and it won't be new to you, but you don't let it define you. You define yourself." Tyran takes a deep breath, letting that settle. Outside, the last of the SEALs are heading to their cars. Creed Marston pauses near his truck, glancing toward the Charger. He doesn't wave, just gives a nod, that quiet acknowledgement of something unbreakable. Solomon catches it in the rearview mirror and returns it, no words needed. Tyran notices, his eyes flicking to the SEALs. "Those guys," he says, "they didn't even know what was happening. They just showed up. for you. They showed up because they know what loyalty is, Solomon says, because they know what it means to stand for something bigger than yourself. That's what we built out there, in the dust and the dark. It's not about medals or stories, it's about trust. You earn that, you carry it, and it carries you. Tyran's quiet for a moment, then asks, "What happened out there? In Kandahar, I mean. You never talk about it." Solomon's gaze drifts to the dashboard, like he's seeing something far away. "Some things don't need to be said until the time's right," he says. "But you're old enough now. You saw those men today. You saw what they did without being asked. That's because 15 years ago we went through something that binds you for life. An ambush, a bad one. I got them out. They got me out. That's the short version. The long version. It's not about what happened. It's about what it made us." Tyran's eyes widen slightly, but he doesn't push. He knows his dad's giving him something rare, something he's held close for years. "And they just came here for my graduation?" Solomon smiles, small but real. "They came because I asked, because they knew what this day meant to me, to us. They didn't need a reason beyond that." Tyran leans back, letting out a breath. "That's heavy." "It's life," Solomon says. "You'll find your people, Tyran, the ones who'll stand up when you need them, even if you don't ask. And you'll be that for someone else. That's how it works." The car is quiet again, just the two of them sitting with the weight of the day. Tyran glances at the photo Solomon's still holding, his mom holding him as a baby. "She'd be proud of you," Solomon says, voice softer now, "not just for today, but for who you're becoming." Tyran swallows hard, blinking fast. "You think so?" "I know so," Solomon says. "You've got her heart and my stubbornness. That's a hell of a combination." Tyran laughs, a small sound that breaks the tension. "Yeah, well, I got your bad taste in music, too." Solomon chuckles, shaking his head. "We'll work on that." He turns the key, and the Charger rumbles to life, a low growl that feels like it's waking up the moment. "So, what now?" he asks. Tyran grins. "Waffle House, my call." "Of course," Solomon says, pulling out of the lot. The school fades in the rear view, but the memory of what happened in that gym is etched deep, for them, for everyone who saw it. As they drive, Tyran's mind is racing, piecing together everything. The guards, the SEALs, his dad's unshakable calm, the way the room erupted when his name was called. He's starting to see it, not just as a moment, but as a lesson, one he'll carry forever. They hit the road, the Charger's hum filling the silence. The sun's dipping low now, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. It's just the two of them, father and son, connected by something that doesn't need words. But Solomon's not done teaching, not yet. He glances at Tyran, who's staring out the window, diploma still in his lap. "You know," Solomon says, "today wasn't just about you graduating. It was about you seeing what it means to stand tall, even when the world tries to push you down." Tyran turns to him, listening hard. "How do I do that? Like you did?" "You already did," Solomon says. "You walked that stage, head high, knowing what was happening in that gym. You didn't let it steal your moment. That's where it starts. You keep that, and life can throw whatever it wants at you." Tyran nods, a new kind of resolve settling in. He's not just a kid anymore. He's stepping into something bigger, something his dad's been preparing him for all along. The road stretches ahead, and for the first time, Tyran feels like he's not just riding along, he's ready to take the wheel. We're in Solomon's Dodge Charger, cruising out of Elmridge High's parking lot in Texas. The sun's sinking, casting a warm glow across the road, turning the sky into a mix of orange, purple, and gold. The car's engine hums low, a steady rhythm that feels like it's carrying more than just miles. Tyran's in the passenger seat, graduation gown tossed in the back, diploma folder still in his lap. He's quiet, staring out the window, but you can tell his mind's working, processing the guards, the seals, his dad's unshakable presence, and that eruption of applause when his name was called. Solomon's driving, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the console, the worn photo of his late wife and baby Tyran tucked back in his jacket. The roads open, small-town Texas, stretching out with fields and gas stations blurring by. Tyran breaks the silence, his voice softer than before. "Dad, what's the hardest thing you ever had to do, like not just in the war, but ever?" Solomon doesn't answer right away. His eyes stay on the road, but you can see he's thinking, weighing what to say. "Hardest thing," he finally says, "was coming home. Not from deployment, but after your mom passed, walking into that house, knowing she wasn't there, knowing I had to be both of us for you. That was harder than any firefight." Tyran turns to him, eyes wide, like he's seeing a new layer of his dad. "You never told me that." "Didn't need to," Solomon says. "You were young. You needed me to be strong, not to talk about it. But you're a man now. You deserve to know the truth. Strength isn't about never hurting. It's about carrying the hurt and still showing up." Tyran nods, swallowing hard. "I miss her. Every day." "Me too," Solomon says, his voice steady but raw. "But she's here, in you, in the way you laugh, the way you stand up for what's right. She'd be so proud of you today, Tyran, not just for graduating, but for how you carried yourself through all of it." Tyran's quiet again, his fingers tracing the edge of his diploma folder. "I keep thinking about those guards," he says, "what they tried to do. It wasn't just about a seat, was it? It was bigger." Solomon glances at him, a small nod. "It's always bigger. You'll see that as you get older. People will test you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are, because you're black, because you're proud, because you don't bow. That's what they were testing today, but you saw what happened. They didn't win, not because I fought, but because I didn't give them the power to move me." Tyran's jaw tightens like he's holding on to that. And those SEALs, they didn't even hesitate. "They didn't need to," Solomon says. "That's what brotherhood is. You build it through fire, through trust. You don't have to ask for it. It's just there. One day, you'll have that too. People who'll stand for you, no questions asked." Tyran leans back, letting out a breath. "I want to make you proud, Dad, like you made me proud today." Solomon's eyes soften, and he gives a rare smile. "You already do, son. You walked that stage with your head high, knowing what was going down in that gym. You didn't let it shake you. That's what I'm proud of. That's what your mom would be proud of." The Charger rolls on, the road curving gently through the Texas dusk. Tyran's starting to see it, not just the day, but the bigger picture. His dad's not just a Marine, not just a father. He's a man who's lived through war, loss, and disrespect, and still chooses dignity over anger, silence over noise. And today, Tyran didn't just graduate high school. He stepped into that same legacy. They pull into a Waffle House lot, the neon sign glowing against the fading sky. Tyran grins as they park. "You know, Mom would have hated this choice," he says, laughing. Solomon chuckles. "Yeah, she'd have us at some fancy place, complaining about the napkins. But this is your day. Waffle House it is." They step out, the warm evening air hitting them as they walk toward the diner. Inside, it's all grease and chatter, waitresses calling orders, the sizzle of hash browns on the grill. They slide into a booth, Tyran's diploma on the table between them. As they order, waffles for Tyran, coffee, and eggs for Solomon, the weight of the day feels lighter, but it's not gone. It settled into something permanent, a memory that'll shape Tyran for years. "Dad," Tyran says between bites, "what's next?" Like, for me? How do I keep this, what I felt today? Solomon sips his coffee, setting the mug down with a soft clink. You keep it by living it. Every day, you choose who you want to be, no matter what the world throws at you. You'll mess up sometimes. Everybody does. But you get back up, you stay true to what's right, and you surround yourself with people who'll hold you to that. That's how you build a life worth living. Tyran nods, his face serious, but lit with a new kind of fire. He's not just a kid anymore. He's a young man, ready to carry the lessons of today into whatever comes next. The diner hums around them, but for Solomon and Tyran, it's just the two of them, connected by a day that was about more than a diploma. It was about honor, loyalty, and the quiet power of standing tall. As they finish up, Solomon pays the bill, and they head back to the Charger. The stars are out now, sharp against the Texas sky. Tyran pauses before getting in, looking at his dad. "Thanks," he says, voice steady, "for everything." Solomon meets his eyes, gives a nod. "Always." They drive off, the Charger's taillights fading into the night. Back at Elmridge High, the gym's empty, the banners taken down, the chairs stacked away. But what happened there won't fade, not for the people who saw it, not for the SEALs who stood, and definitely not for Tyran. That day marked something bigger than a graduation. It was the day he learned that manhood isn't about noise or fighting. It's about how you carry yourself when the world's watching and when it's not. So that's the story, y'all. A Marine dad, a son's pride, and 6 SEALs who showed what loyalty really means. If this moved you, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded what true strength looks like. Let me know in the comments what hit you hardest about this story, and if you want more like it, I've got you covered. Until next time, stay real, stay strong, and I'll catch you in the next one.